Sabina and I told people when we were little, we love each other. And in the way adaptations of speech made by small children so often do, the phrase feels truer than the original. Between us, there was no separate each, only our. This was my first definition of love. Sabina's father walked out when she was a baby, and mine died when I was 12. So as teenagers, we were both only daughters of single mothers. My mother, Heidi, was the oldest of 5, and Sabina's mother, Rachel, the second oldest. The two of them bearing the deepest scars of a chaotic and traumatic childhood that included foster care, abuse, neglect, and a hippie commune. They carried the impact of their childhood instability into their own mothering in opposite ways. My mother never quite found solid ground, attempting to outrun her demons with frequent short-notice cross-country moves and to drown them in heroin. She protected me better than her own mother had protected her, but still, I inherited chaos like a family heirloom. Rachel, meanwhile, braced so hard against the chaos that she perceived any deviation from order as a threat, like an overactive immune system reacting to something harmless, an allergy to imperfection. When we were kids, Sabina was allergic to dairy, chocolate, cats, dogs, and at least a couple of other things. Her allergies only added to the impression that she was a delicate thing, a baby doll. The youngest cousin, the baby of the family, she even looked like a doll. Big brown eyes under heavy black lashes and perfect round cheeks. But then she'd smile, her wide, toothy grin proportionately a little too big for the rest of her face in a way that made her even more spectacularly beautiful because it reminded you that she was not a doll after all, but a real girl with a silly smile that was usually accompanied by a bubbly laugh and sometimes a little shoulder shimmy. My mom brought me to stay with Rachel and Sabina for a few weeks the summer I was 14 and Sabina was 13, when the first flashes of my teenage self-destruction were too much for her to handle. By then, we'd moved back to New York, just a bus ride away from Rachel and Sabina where they'd settled in Philadelphia. My mother worked during the day and had no way to stop me from getting drunk in the park first thing in the morning and doing God knows what else, so she dropped me off with her sister. Resentful, I was sullen and silent the whole way to Philly. I refused to make eye contact with my mother as she ushered me out the door, onto the subway, and then onto the Chinatown bus, setting my jaw in an unmistakable pout and pulling my black hoodie over as much of my face as I could, despite the summer heat. My forehead against the window and my Converse pulled up onto the seat as the bus rolled along the New Jersey Turnpike, I blasted Nirvana's Bleach in my headphones and felt sorry for myself for missing out on whatever trouble my friends were getting into. I still refused to look at or speak to my mother when the bus finally stopped with a wheeze in Philadelphia, or during the cab ride to Rachel and Sabina's apartment. When my aunt opened the door to greet us, I stood with my arms crossed, scowl still on my face, making sure she, too, knew I wasn't happy to be there. I saw her and my mother exchange a glance, and prepared to dig even deeper into my sulk. But then Sabina came bounding toward me, waving her hands in the air and yelling, "Yitty!" her nickname for me from when we were toddlers and she couldn't make an L sound. She was wearing a lime green tank top with butterflies on it, so bright and bouncy and excited. She hurled herself at me, enveloping me in a big hug, completely ignoring how sour I was being. I laughed, just a little, despite myself, and returned the hug, letting her rock our bodies back and forth. We spent those weeks being kids together. I remember them as the very last days of my childhood, which I'd been halfway out the door and away from, but was willing to turn around and stay in just a little longer with Sabina. We made up dances like we used to. I picked the music, The Clash mostly. Walked around her neighborhood picking flowers, went to the library to check out big stacks of books which we read on opposite ends of the couch, our feet all in a pile together in the middle. We helped Rachel cook dinner and cleaned up together, watched movies, went to bed early, and stayed up late whispering. On one of our walks, we found a large, dead dragonfly, perfectly intact, its little legs curling up in the air. We both gasped and crouched down on the sidewalk to get a closer look at its crystalline wings. "How can we get it home?" I asked, knowing we'd both already decided in our quiet awe that we would take it with us. "It's so fragile." "Very carefully," Sabina replied with certainty, delicately picking it up by its stiff tail and laying it across her open palm. cupping her free hand over its body to keep it from blowing away.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.